I want to welcome everybody to the February 5th, 2020 meeting of the Revere Conservation Commission. If I can have everybody please stand and salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, we have a lot more flags. We took these, these were all at the inauguration when they all got sworn in, so I think they all just brought them here. All right. So we'll have, we have salute the flag. Now, next we have roll call of members. Member Heather Legier.
Here.
Member Ann Raponi.
Here.
Member Joe Laval. Here. Member David Etoff. Here. Member Deborah Santiano McCatton. Here. And Member Robert Cassidy.
Present.
And I'm Nick Malayson, the chairman. Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes from the December 4th, 2019 meeting?
I'll do that.
Toby makes a motion, a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by David Etoff. All right, first is a public meeting. This is for National Grid and Boston Gas. I told them they didn't have to come here. If you remember, we gave them a order of conditions for 1064 to 1048 North Shore Road. They were going to redo the gas lines. They did not complete the work. The work has been canceled. So we're going to give them a certificate of completion so they can cancel out the work. Do I have a motion to issue them the certificate so they can cancel the work?
I'll make a motion.
Ann makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by David Etoff. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, if we can just sign two of these, Joe. We're going to sign both of those, please. All right, next, public hearing. Greens Creek Settlement Removal, Mass DEP file 0610737. If you can, do I have a motion to open up the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Heather makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ann Raponi. Hi, how are you? If I can just, actually, we got to give you a microphone. One of these microphones got to go over there. Put that right on the podium. And if you can just press the red button and name and address for the record, please.
Absolutely. Devin Batchelder, wetland scientist with Weston Sampson Engineering, 55 Walker's Brook Road in Reading, Massachusetts.
Okay. If you can just tell us what this project is and what's going to be happening.
To whom can I submit? We have our butter receipt.
I'll take all that. And was this what you emailed me earlier?
So I
Okay.
can address that if
Yep.
you'd like.
No
So
problem.
this project is, we're representing the city of Revere. This is in regards to the Greens Creek drainage. This drainage, as shown here on the plan, it's a part of the city stormwater system, and has over time, sediment has accumulated, and it's preventing the natural flow of the drainage, and it's posing a hazard to the abutting properties with regards to flooding. The city is proposing to remove the sediment that has accumulated to allow it to function as necessary.
Can you do me one favor?
Absolutely.
Take that easel and put it on that side of you, because see the camera that's right there? We're going to want the people in the audience to see that. Perfect. Perfect.
Look at that picture.
Yeah, you can sign both of those. Perfect. Yep. All right, great.
So there are three resource areas identified in the Mass Wetlands Protection Act that will be impacted as part of this proposed project. We have land under ocean. So this creek is considered tidal because it falls below the NOAA tidal datum that's closest to this area. So land under ocean, you're going to find in the middle of this green strip here. We're proposing to impact 14,400 square feet and remove 385 cubic yards of material. We're also proposing to impact riverfront area. The 100-foot is shown here in pink, 200-foot shown in orange. We're proposing to impact 14,100 square feet of riverfront area. The entire area there is also in the 100-year floodplain, so that's going to be considered land subject to coastal storm flowage. Again, 14,100 square feet because it is the same area impacted. Silt curtains will be installed upstream and downstream extents to prevent sediment migration into adjacent wetland areas. Overall, we feel this is going to be an environmental impact because that sediment really wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, so it'll be removal of something that shouldn't have been there. And I'd be happy, oh, one thing, inadvertently on the plan set that was submitted, the proposed dewatering area on this northern side of the creek was accidentally drawn so that a piece of it touched the BVW. We don't want to impact BVW, so we have redrawn it so that it is slightly moved over as it was intended to be. So we've submitted 8 sets of half-size plans and 2 sets of oversized plans that show the correction. And I would be happy to answer any questions about the project you might have.
Any members have any questions? Deb?
Yes, I happened to go down to see the site, and the embankments are totally littered. Is your group going to come in, as you're working on the embankments? I noticed all the debris that was there. That was one issue, and the other issue is I note that you say you're taking down 80 trees?
Tree cutting would be necessary for access here on this southern side, should access be needed. My understanding is the majority of the access will occur on the northern side of the creek, but should southern access be needed in order to reach there, tree cutting will have to happen because that is a forested embankment.
Was there discussion of leaving the roots?
The roots, yes, will be
Yes,
left in
okay,
place.
so in time the roots will,
Regrow
yes.
with whatever should come up.
Will you be replanting?
I don't believe there is any proposed replanting at the moment. I believe that there's some seeding for any areas that were disturbed, if I'm requiring correctly, but no planting.
It does seem like 80 trees are a lot of trees to come down.
Don, just go to the mic and just name and address for the record, even though we know who you are, just please. Thank you.
Don Charmella, Superintendent of the Water and Sewer Department. So, a little bit of history of this ditch. This ditch has never really been cleaned in the history of Revere as far as sediment removal. There has been times that the DPW has gone down and removed tires and shopping carts at times, but that really doesn't help the flow of the ditch. So, this is actually a profile of the sediment that's not natural to this ditch. And this ditch, actually, the outfall that leads to this ditch actually handles about 1/3 of the city. So it basically, it services the stormwater for 1/3 of the city of Revere. And this is the sediment pile, which is not natural to that ditch, which is about 7 feet tall. And it's sediment that ended up in there from the streets, sand that we used to deposit, we used to use on the streets years ago for storm events. Now it's just salt. A lot of the sediment ended up in the catch basins that in turn ended up in the drain mains that ended up downstream. All murky sediments that are suspended in water eventually just build up. So like I said, in the history of Revere, this ditch has never been cleaned, never been dredged. So we have a 54-inch outfall at that head wall. And at any time of the tide, you can never see this outfall. It never goes below the pipe. So, in fact, there's a wall of water in front of the pipe. So, it not only creates flooding for the immediate abutters, it creates flooding upstream. Water just can't get down. It's a clogged pipe. And here, you can actually see, this is a plunge pool, and that's actually the top of the sediment. So there's a 54-inch pipe here that you can never see, so you're basically talking almost a 5-foot diameter pipe that you'll never see, and that you can't get through the water. So when you say removing of the carts and the trash, absolutely, that was primary, but it's the sediment that really has to go. Everything will be cleaned up. And when you talk about 80 trees sounds like a lot, but this ditch, the limit of cleaning is 600 lineal feet. Each one of these blocks represents 100 foot. So some of the tree diameters, when you talk about trees, some of them are actually very, very small. So in 80 trees for 600 lineal feet on both sides of the ditch sounds like a big number, but actually it's a very small number. And that's so that we can access to bring machinery in there to clean it out. And this is a project that the DPW, that the Water Sewer Drain Department is doing on their own. We're not contracting this out. We contracted engineering services to help with the permitting process. That's something that we're just not used to doing, working with, the DEP and Army Corps. But as far as the work, the actual work that's involved, the City of Revere is actually doing this work. And so there's no question that it's a project that's solely needed for the City of Revere, and it's long overdue. And, you'll be seeing me a lot because there's a lot of ditches that need to be cleaned in the city. And the next one is Trifoni Brook and Old Town Line Brook. But, but anyway, so that's basically it.
So where will you be transporting the sediment to?
So the sediment is going to be tested, and the sediment will be whatever landfill site that it deems necessary to take it. That will, with Weston and Sampson's help, will determine where this material needs to go based on the type of material or the contaminants that are involved.
You test the materials, and based on what levels are found, it's suitable for a number of different sites. So based on what's found, that would determine what site it's allowed to go to.
So it does seem like the ditch needs to be cleaned, the sediment needs to be removed. I still think that some of the trees could be replaced.
So, I mean,
I understand you're saying the
I
saplings.
it's hard for me to want to plant it. Well, a lot of these trees that are going are also, considered they're not species that they're not maples, and they're not, they're not nice trees. A lot of it's pretty much, like garbage trees. It's hard for me to want to plant a tree next to a ditch because the leaves fall and that falls into the ditch and they decompose and that becomes tomorrow's sediment, so. But, I mean, if it's necessary to do some replanting, sure. I mean, we can certainly entertain it. I'm not adverse to planting trees. I'm not. I think that you have to keep the species in mind. Something that's, pretty much native to the area would be good, and something that wouldn't grow too big that would cause a problem with, with access in the future, if it ever needed to be cleaned again, or if, a tree that, has a lot of, leaves that shed and just decompose in the ditch and could cause another issue downstream and basically do what's a salt marsh. So, they say a pitch is worth 1,000 words, so
Yes,
there you go. That's your ditch.
yes.
Looks like a, that's nothing. So that's pallets.
That's actually one of the cleaner areas of that whole ditch.
So recently I went down, and I should have taken a picture. I counted literally within probably a 200 square foot area, 3 chopping carts. Unfortunately, I think people take them down there, and when they're done with it, they just roll it into the ditch, so.
Is there some sort of, after you clean this ditch, I know what did you say, it's gonna take like 2 or 3 years to get it all done?
So, based on the amount of funding that I have with the city to dispose of the contaminated material, once we deem what, where this material is going, I don't really know how much funding I have to do it. So I might do it in passes. Like I might just take like a foot off that, for 600 feet, I might take a foot off or a foot and a half, and then revisit it the following year and do it again, take another, until we get down to the area, the limit of dredging, of cleaning, where we get down to that natural base of natural sand or whatever material our limit is.
It'd be nice to try and find a way, and I know what Deborah's concerns are, is how do we stop people from throwing stuff down there? Cots and mattresses and trash, and I don't know how there's a way to police it. I know it's really not a conservation question, it's more of a...
It's more of probably more of an ISD question, or a health department issue.
Yeah.
So, once you hang up a sign saying, there's surveillance cameras, if there's not a surveillance camera there, they know it's you know.
Someone's watching it, yeah.
It's, they know there's not truly a surveillance
Yeah,
camera there.
yeah.
So, I mean, maybe, so it's very possible that there are certain areas that maybe we should think about. CCTV cameras.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not they're remote, and I don't want, it's not something I want to bring power to.
Yeah, exactly.
And bring, you know, telephone
Yeah.
poles, I don't know. How can it be policed? I can't answer that question,
Yeah.
I just can't, I can't sit
And I know
there.
it's kind of out of the conservation purview, but
You would
it would
hope,
be nice to,
you would hope
be able to
that
get it.
once it's cleaned, that people would say, hey, listen, this is a nice clean ditch, let's not mess it up again. But, you know,
not everyone thinks the way we do.
no. I can say one thing,
Unfortunately.
I could say one thing, that I think that once we clean it, that if we see a tire, a wooden pallet, a shopping cart, the
maintenance will be a little
DPW
easier.
would
Can take
move
it
it
right out.
immediately.
Okay.
Right now,
I think even if we do something like that, we'll make it.
right now, if we go down there and remove something, it's in vain, because I have 400 cubic yards of material that's just
Yeah,
basically in the way of the flow
The
anyway.
carts and the tires are the least of the trouble
Yeah,
down
it's
there.
not that-
Because
I mean-
that's what, the carts and the tires, you only see them first, that's why it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, you know, I really do think that once it's cleaned up, that, you know, people would take a look at it and say, hey, you know, this is nice, let's just not mess it up again.
And like you said too, actually, now that I think of it, it's a little easier, once it's all clean and you see a tire or a cart, you guys can pull it out.
Right
It's
now,
not that
they
big
see a
deal.
tire and a cot in there right now, they say, well, one more, what's the difference? You
Yeah.
know, no
Yeah,
big
but
deal.
once they've cleaned it and it's a little easier to maintain it, I think it'll make a big difference.
So I would opt for, let's give me the ability to have a clean slate and,
Go
you
from
know,
there.
yeah, and then, you know, go from there.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just for perspective, oh, by the way, one good way of stopping any kind of dumping there is access. I don't know what there is for access to bring a truck or a cart or anything down there. So that's one of the issues. Are there dead-end streets going down to that?
So it's basically the Lee's Trailer Park that abuts the majority of this ditch. And then you have some businesses on the Furlong Drive side.
So my other question, Don, just for a second, can you, to get me a perspective, can you tell me what that building is in the background? The aqua colored way on the right-hand side? Is that the Commonwealth Autobot? No.
These are the trailers from the trailer park. And that's the
Yeah,
business across the way.
Yeah, right.
That's the back of Furlong Drive, like where Sullivan Tire is and Suffolk Diner and all that is, that's the back of there. So I think that's the Sullivan
Yep.
Tire building.
So this is a trailer, so we're looking towards Suffolk Downs. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, honestly, I had some worse ones, but I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't, you guys know what it looks
Yeah,
like.
Ann, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Ann.
My question was, in your conversation, you mentioned that you would be doing it on a gradual basis, increments, so many feet, and then come back. So there's no reason for it to be done in a hurry. You'd like to have it done in a hurry.
So-
What are your reasons for doing it in a gradual basis?
The reasons for doing it on a gradual basis is that we're basically 15 men in the water sewer department. And so we answer to emergencies. So I answer to sewer blocks, water breaks. So I can start this project, but I can tell you right now, I'll have to, you know, I can have the best plan in the world and say, okay, I'm just gonna clean this ditch the next 3 months, but I'm gonna be, you know, answering emergencies.
4 water main breaks and
Yeah.
all kinds of.
So I don't want to contract this out. I'm trying to use it with city funds. I want to do it in city funds. And not put it out to bid and have it basically, I can tell you right now, it would cost the city much more money to have a contractor to do it than city employees do it. We have the ability we have a contract to dispose of contaminated or unsuitables, spoils from projects like this. We do it with catch basin cleaning, we stockpile the material, and it gets tested, and it gets removed to landfills, whatever deemed necessary, wherever it needs to go, no matter with regards to the testing. So So this is something that the city should learn how to do on its own. Get the permitting, clean a ditch properly. And so this is something that we have to get used to. We're a coastal community. We have five major ditches in the city, and they need to be maintained. So we need to learn how to start doing that. We have the Eastern County ditch, which you're familiar with, that we're going to be cleaning pretty soon, which we've already gone through the permitting process, and we have the permits in hand to clean. And then we have the Central County ditch. We have Trafoni Brook. Town line is not under the city control, but it's something that services the city. But these are all ditches that need to be maintained or cleaned.
But we do have 5 main important discs that need attention
We do.
and cleaning.
Yes, we do.
But I understand from your conversation, you're trying to do this bits and pieces because you don't want this to be a priority because of all your other work around the city. You're trying to juggle, I don't want to use the word juggle, but what you're trying to do is not make this a priority, even though you have the manpower and the money to do it firsthand and get it done. But because of all the other work around the city, we have to just keep it on the back burner
Right.
and do it as we see fit and when we have the manpower and the time.
So most recently, I think you guys are aware of this because of the traffic situation, we had a water break on North Shore Road. And it's a water break that we couldn't dig during the middle of the day because we would have caused chaos. We started digging it at 10 p.m. at night. And we worked until the morning until it got fixed, and then we could repair the road and then open up 1A north in front of Land of Liquors back to the traffic. So I can't tell you what's gonna happen in the future. We can start this ditch the first day and I can have a major water break. I can start the ditch and a major sewer block. But we also have other projects that we're doing in the city on top of this. Catch basin rebuilding, catch basin cleaning, gate box maintenance and gate exercising programs for the water system. So we control not only drainage, but we control the sewer system, and we control the water distribution system. So 15 guys might sound like a lot, but for a city our size, it's really not for trying to manage 3 major systems in the city. And one of the things that's happened in the city is that stormwater, it seems to be a hot issue when you have a record-breaking year of 61 inches in 2018. That broke a record for Massachusetts. We've never had 61 inches annual rainfall. Our normal rainfall for Massachusetts is 40 inches. So, call it what you will, climate change, global warming, call it whatever you want, but I say it's a sign of the times. We are a coastal community. We rely on our drainage system. This city should be able to de-water every 12 hours. Every low tide, the water should move out of the city. But right now, it doesn't move. The drain mains are surcharged, water can't get out, and, we have a major rainfall event, and where are we? Our drain mains are full, our ditches are full, our covers are full. What do you do? And then, if you have a high tide at those events, you're really kind of, behind the 8 ball. So, this is...
Basically speaking, your job entails an awful lot of maneuvering, management, and arranging, and I commend you for all the work you do.
Thank you.
And you're doing a good job.
Thank you. I can't say, so with this project, if it said, well, listen, we don't want it to go on more than, 3 or 4 months, then I would have to contract it out. I can't do it. So I want that free board. I want that leeway that I can have 2 years to clean 400 cubic yards of material out of this ditch. Because
This seems to be something that probably should have been done 20, 30 years ago anyways. So for you to take 3 years to do it doesn't seem that big of a deal to me.
I think that for the 600-foot profile, actually, for most of the 600-foot profile, if I can take a foot or 2 of sediment off the top, I'll get more flow.
Yeah.
And then as you know,
Plus,
they,
after you do it the first time, you'll have some answers for how you're gonna do it the second time.
yeah, so I don't want to really impact the size of the ditch either. So, we're not taking much sediment, really, we're not taking, in the scheme of things, 400 cubic yards isn't a lot of material. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It's not that much material. But if you, when you go there, you see this plunge pool, you can't see a 54-inch outfall, you can't see the pipe, but all you see is a little bit of water and all this fine sediment.
Yeah.
That
That's
just
been there for
doesn't
years.
belong there. It just
Yeah,
doesn't
been there for
belong there.
decades.
Now, when you hit sand or blue clay, then you know, okay, that belongs.
Yeah, that stays
That's the
there.
original
Yeah.
bed.
Yep.
Don't go any further, but.
Any other commissioners have any questions or concerns? Heather?
Hi, I just wanted to make a statement that I think in this instance, you probably want to keep that area as wide open as possible. You don't want any kind of anything there to plug it up. So, you know, it's my feeling that if you got to take down the trees, you have to take down the trees. There's other places you can put the trees, you know, but this is not the place for it. You need to have that free and open. And, you know, Weston and Sampson is a great outfit. And
Yes, they are.
You know, terrific engineering group. And I'm sure that whatever that they recommended is, you know, it will do the job. And so will you guys. So, I would just, if you haven't thought about it already, I'm sure you have, maybe a quarterly preventive maintenance program going forward when you get to it. That's just.
So as far as the sediment is concerned, we should never see this problem again because we have a very, very aggressive catch basin cleaning program in the city of Revere. We have 4,500 catch basins. The trick is to get them before the sediment gets to the pipe, and starts flowing out, and then starts, you know, traveling a couple of miles down into a drain main and into a ditch. So so now we have a very aggressive program as far as cleaning the catch basins. So this should not repeat itself as long as we do our preventative maintenance in the streets.
That's the key.
That is the key. There he is. That's
Any
the
other
key.
commissioners have any questions or comments? All right, any other proponents that want to speak in favor of this project? Hearing and
Also
seeing-
move.
Hearing and seeing none, any opponents that want to speak against it? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close out that side of the hearing. Do I have a motion to approve the order of conditions?
I'll make the
I'll make the
motion.
motion.
Ann makes the motion, Toby, you want to second it?
Yes.
All right, so Ann makes the motion,
I don't like.
Toby seconds it. Do I have a motion to close out the public hearing?
Motion to close out the public hearing.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second to close out the public hearing?
Second.
Seconded by Joe Laval. If you hang tight a few minutes, we'll sign the order of conditions. I'll give it to you tonight. Okay?
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 1133 North Shore Road, 18-unit multifamily dwelling. Engineering Alliance, Mr. Rick Salvo, please. I don't think Mass DEP issued a file number as of yesterday. I didn't look today. Do I have a motion to open this public hearing for this 1133 North Shore Road?
I'll make
Also
the motion.
move.
Toby makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Heather. If we can just have name and address for the record, sir, please, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Rick Salvo with Engineering Alliance, here this evening with John Nikasian from Arm Construction, who's the owner and applicant of this project. You are correct. As of this afternoon, the DEP hadn't issued the file number. I tried to get a hold of Mr. Freely over there, but wasn't able to today. It says waiting for the fee to clear revenue, so the check has cleared.
I'm sure it's gonna be any.
It just needs to clear their system. So we did have a site visit this Saturday. The plan that's up here is the existing conditions plan. It's a pretty unique piece of property. It's comprised of about 10,400 square feet, fronts on North Shore Road, Calumet Street, and Beachland Avenue. Beachland Avenue and Calumet, as you saw, are both one-way streets, and that'll provide the access to the project. There were previously two structures located on the site. There was a commercial building and a two-family. The existing site has about 9,800 square feet of the 10,400 was impervious, either a paved parking lot or building. The resource areas present here are land subject to coastal storm flowage, which is elevation 11. The existing site ranges from about elevation 8.5 to about elevation 11.5. The low side being on Calumet and the higher side being on Beachland Avenue. As we saw at the site visit, both of the dwellings, or both of the structures have been demolished, and we're here before you, obviously, to permit the new structure. The structures were demolished after a fire, so it was sort of, I think, an emergency scenario that those structures were torn down. In the existing condition, like I said, there's about 9,845 square feet of impervious surfaces with currently no stormwater controls in place. In the post-development condition, there'll be a podium-style building built, which isn't uncommon to revere with all the construction that's ongoing. Most of these buildings that are being constructed are podium-style. So the first floor elevation will be on concrete columns with at-grade parking underneath the building. So that said, there's no real proposed grading changes, so there'll be no changes to the floodplain. The living space will be about 10 feet above the floodplain, and FEMA does allow for parking and storage and building access to be located below the floodplain. In the post-development condition, the building square foot is about 6,000 square feet, this L-shaped building. That's a reduction, going to result in a reduction of about 1,560 square feet of impervious surfaces. So there's an increase in landscaping and impervious surfaces. In addition to that increase in landscaping and impervious surfaces, there's a subsurface infiltration facility that'll be built in this area here, which will infiltrate all the roof runoff from the proposed dwelling, which will result in a pretty significant decrease in both the rate and volume of stormwater runoff. So this is a building more than 4 units, so we're subject to the DEP stormwater regs. We did submit all the backup calculations that this drainage design with the infiltration, water quality meets all of the 12 standards. In addition, just change the page here. There's a dry well proposed in the corner of the driveway, which will mitigate any stormwater runoff coming off the driveway on the Beachland Ave side, and on the Calumet side, this drive will be pitched towards the landscaped area where the water can infiltrate. I don't know if you saw in our notice of intent application, we did include the stormwater results, which show a net decrease in all storms up to including the 100-year storm. So that's essentially the proposal. Like I said, the only resource area that we're working in here is land subject to coastal storm flowage, where this is a building up on piles, essentially. There is no impact to the floodplain. Flood storage capacity will remain exactly as it is today.
Any commissioners have any questions or comments? No? Any other proponents that want to speak in favor of this?
Hi, Eric Lampedecchio, 43 Tapley Avenue. Just a couple questions. First and foremost, thank you guys for cleaning up that property. That was a very blighted property for a long period of time, and you guys did a great job getting rid of those old raggedy buildings that were there. You mentioned a little bit about grading for the driveway. I'm just curious, are you guys going to elevate that land? And if so, what would that impact be on the neighborhood in terms of like floodwater runoff?
Good.
Yeah, there's no plan to elevate the land. The land's going to stay basically at the back edge of sidewalk elevation that's out there today. You know, if we elevated the land, we wouldn't be able to get there from either one of the streets. So
Okay.
There are 2 separate access points. The access points from Beachland and from Calumet do not connect inside of the building.
So no one can cut through.
That's right, so that's what allows us to create two different levels, so we're able to deal with the grading, so we don't end up with any change. So there will be no change in grading, I think is the short answer to the question.
Okay. Any other questions, Eric?
Sorry, just one more question, just in terms of neighborhood awareness. I know that you guys had sent a flyer out back in 2017, but I don't think the neighborhood's received any notification since then. Is there any plan to notify them that this project's moving forward?
They've been notified of this meeting tonight, the abutters were.
Yeah, so we
They got
notified,
everything.
so back in 2018, this project already went through the Board of Appeals, received zoning relief for the building size, the dimensional requirements. All the abutters within 300 feet of the property were notified at that point in time. Obviously, under your regulations, under the Wetlands Protection Act, we notified all the abutters within 100 feet of the property.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, couple of
Yes.
questions.
Sure, Joe.
I've noticed on one of the drawings that there is, in the parking lot, there's an arrow going in and out. So that means the cars can go either to Calumet or what the other street was, Beachland?
Correct.
So they can go out either way?
Correct.
Okay, that's one question. But will either of these streets have to change their direction now?
No,
One's going to North Shore Road and the other one's going
from North Shore Road.
from North Shore Road. And the last question, I was looking at the windows or bars that you have on the North Shore Road side into the parking area. That's all open?
Correct.
And could you tell me the elevation of the lower sill? Because they don't go all the way to the ground. It looks as though they're probably up, 2 or 3 feet? But do you know what the elevation is there?
To the bottom of the cladding?
Is that what you call that, cladding?
Yeah, the building cladding? 3 feet?
Yeah, probably.
3 feet, so that would allow, if the 100-year storm ever hit and that site needed to flood to elevation 11, it would be open so the floodwaters
The
could
water
pass
can flood
into the
through it.
building and then recede back out of the building.
Okay, so the bottom of the window is
3 feet up,
under the elevation?
above the elevation,
Oh, it's above?
correct.
Well, then the water couldn't get in there.
No, it's above, there's a space that's 3 feet from the ground to the bottom side of the structure.
All right, thank you.
Any other commissioners have any questions? All right, any other proponents that want to speak in favor? Hearing and seeing none, and close out that side of the hearing. Any opponents that want to speak against this project? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the project?
Motion to approve?
David wants to make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second,
Seconded by Heather Legier. All in favor?
aye.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to
A
close?
motion to close.
Ann makes a motion to close. Dave, you want to second it?
Yep.
Dave seconds it.
Thank you very much.
So I'll have it signed, the signature page number. We just got to wait for the DEP number.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
let you know.
assuming it's going to be the 0738, which is the next number?
Yeah, but
That's
we'll
all
wait till we
I'm
get it. I'm expecting we're gonna get it probably sometime this week.
Yeah, probably. So once I get it, then I'll give you a call. You can come pick it up or whatever. We'll make the arrangements then.
Great.
All right, thank you, sir. And don't go too far. Joe, we're gonna sign those too. All right, next is a public meeting. This is for a partial certificate of compliance for 320 Charger Street, which most of us know, there was an order of conditions issued for Caruso Properties. They put like a public storage type building down there for storage units, and most of the project is done. The big storage building is done, but the rest isn't. So they're here for two reasons tonight. One, to get a partial certificate of compliance for the original building, and then to get an extension of the order of conditions that's going to expire in July. So we figured we'd kill two birds with one stone tonight. But Rick, if you got anything else to add to that?
Yeah, again, for the record, Rick Sell with Engineering Alliance, here this evening on behalf of Steve Caruso. So this is the plan that was permitted through the original notice of intent. This is the large building that was constructed, so the building, the parking lot, and all the utilities were built. This building that's outlined here in red is the building that hasn't been constructed yet. If I flip the sheet. It's a slightly different orientation. This is the as-built plan that we submitted along the request, so we'd like to get a certificate of compliance for the first building and all the utility work associated with it. And the remaining work would be the second small building that's going to be constructed. The reason why we're getting the partial certificate of compliance and not just waiting till we're all done is because the property is going to be sold and the new buyer is going to construct the smaller building. So we need to have the partial certificate of compliance in order to allow the closing to go forward.
Any commissioners have any questions or anything? I know normally we do a site visit, and I didn't do it this past Saturday. We probably should have. I know I took a ride. I'm down there almost every day, and I know it looks great, and everything looks done to what we need, and I hope my commissioners can realize that. I'm sorry we didn't have a site visit. But I'd like to give them this partial certificate of compliance, and then when the final project is done, then we can make sure we do a site visit for everything, for even the smaller building. Any commissioners have any other questions or concerns for this?
No questions.
Do I have a motion to approve the partial certificate of compliance?
I'll make a motion.
so move.
Toby makes the motion. Ann, you want to second it?
Yes, please.
I will second it by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and again, like he explained, this order of conditions for this property expires this July of 2020. So they want to extend the order of conditions for the new owner that's gonna build that building and probably do it next year sometime. So, do I have a motion to extend? It'll be for,
I think we asked for another 3 years, but
yeah, we
it's
asked
probably
for
going to be
another
built
3
within the
years.
year.
We extended it for another, we could extend it for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. They had asked for 3. On top of the 3 they already got. When we gave the original order of conditions, well, it's gonna expire in 4 months. So that's what, 5 months, so it expires in July, right?
Expires in July 2020.
So you
asked for
figured
it to
instead
be
of coming
extended to
back-
2023, yeah.
In a couple of months, just do it now and get it over with.
We could do it for 2 years if you wanted to, just arbitrary. I mean, they're gonna build it right away, there's
Yeah.
no reason to do it, but I didn't, if some kind of glitch, I just didn't want to have to come back again.
Yeah,
But-
exactly, yeah, all right. So I have 2 years okay with you, Joe?
Yeah, only because I didn't get a chance to go down and see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
All right, so do I have a
2 years is
motion to
fine.
approve the extension?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ann Raponi, motion made by Ann Raponi, seconded by Dave Etoff. I'll give you that extension here, I'll have it signed, and I can give you the copy of it.
Great.
All right?
Thank you very
Hang
much,
tight a
appreciate
minute.
it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Dave, seconded by?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Toby. That's our meeting for tonight, February 5th, thank you.